if they go through, does that mean you can't really pick them for the South Africa game because they'll only have 5 days in camp with you, those players?
Well, it's a decision we'll have to make in terms of we'll just see how the weekend goes, so we're not sort of making a decision about that and see what happens with them, and hopefully they do go all the way, and then we'll have to look at bringing some other players in if they win that quarter final and go into the semi-finals and final. That'll change definitely, I think, and who we need to replace those players with, and and fingers crossed they do get that opportunity to go as far as they possibly can.
Matt?
Warren, obviously the last time we saw you was after the Six Nations. It was a difficult time. We always talk about the players assessing their performance, but I was just curious, when you look back at that Six Nations and you look at your own performance, did you learn anything?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for us was when we reviewed the Six Nations, there were times, there was probably a couple of games we put ourselves in position we could have won and probably should have won. Things about our game management, that's a big focus for us, and definitely for this group is from both sides of the ball, whether it's attack and defence, improving our collision dominance to get some go forward, making sure that we get some quality and quick ball, particularly on the front foot. And I probably saw that a few weeks ago when I thought the big difference when with Dowie Lake and Jack Morgan when they played for the Ospreys against the Dragons. And one of the things that stood out for me was their post-contact meters in terms of getting on their front foot and giving them some quick ball. So, that's definitely a focus for us. So if I look back on the Six Nations, when I look at territory and possession, our territory in every game was less than the possession that we had. So we probably need to focus on being a bit smarter in the way we play and play a little bit more territory. And there were games where we had every team under pressure and played some good spells of rugby, but not for long enough periods and not putting them under enough pressure for longer. So I think those are the learnings for us, and for us to continue to focus on that, sort of building into the South Africa game and obviously for the tour.
Yeah, you've obviously been doing this a long time now, but do you still reflect on the decisions you make, the way you prepare the team and the outcomes that you get?
Yeah, absolutely. You always look back on selection, whether you got that right, your game plan, your preparation, what sort of things that you would do differently. We've made a collective decision as a group that we feel it's the right time to develop some youngsters and really improve the depth in the squad. And we know that to do that, we've probably got to go through a bit of pain. We've been through some pain, and we may continue to do that. But, I do definitely see light at the end of the tunnel. I'm excited about where we can potentially go. I was buoyed by, periods during that Six Nations when we did play well, and we did put quality teams under a lot of pressure. We probably let the game against England slip. It was a terrible first half against Scotland, but a really good second half where we showed what we potentially could do. We were leading against France for 64 minutes until they brought their big boys on and put us under some pressure. And then we had Ireland under some pressure, 17-7 down, and camped in their 22. If we'd scored there, it potentially changes I don't think it changes the outcome, but it does change the scoreline and the game. So, yeah, there's lots of things we can work on, but it's also making sure that we focus on the positives, some of the things that we did do well, and keep building on those things.
How much have you seen of Corey Hill and Liam Williams recently? Are they going well? I haven't seen them really.
Oh, and I've seen. Yeah, we've watched games and stuff. In fairness to Corey, he's been in the Vale quite a bit doing some training, and he's been doing a lot of work with Leon Brown with the conditioners. And Liam, had some games. Didn't have a lot of rugby in Japan, but we'd spoken a while ago, and he's very keen to be a part of the Welsh setup. He's still thinks he's got a lot to offer us, and he does in terms of his experiences, the X factor that he does have. He'll be disappointed in the last number of years the amount of injuries that he's had, and I think that's something that we will focus on in terms of trying to manage him the best way that we possibly can, in terms of trying to get him on the field as much as we can. But we definitely think he's a player for us that we can get through to the next World Cup.
Just last one for me. No captain named as yet.
No.
It's obviously bounced around a little bit. We had the co-captains for the World Cup and Dav as well recently. Are we approaching a point now where the next one is the long-term one?
Yeah, probably. It's kind of like we looked at that and we felt that at this stage we didn't have to commit to that. We'd wait and just see what happens. Gareth said what happens in the weekend with the Ospreys, and then who we have as a squad when they come in. Looking at who then would captain the side against South Africa. Important thing within the squad is having a leadership group and selecting that leadership group for us going forward with this group of players, and then looking for someone to lead us for the tour in Australia.
Stefan?
Hi Warren. Obviously you picked Ben Thomas. He's probably a bit different to other players in terms of his style. What do you like about Ben, and do you think we could give Wales maybe a different dimension in attack, a bit more creativity?
Yeah, I thought he was excellent on the weekend. I thought he looked comfortable on the ball. He created space. We were hoping earlier in the season that we might have seen a little bit more of him having a few games at 10. Carter felt at the time that he was a midfielder. They've started to look at that as a potential option for him as maybe a 10 option or covering that position. So we've been pleased with his performance and how he's developed. Look, whoever we pick there, it's going to take a little bit of time. It just doesn't happen overnight, and there's not just the running game that is important. It's the control of the game. Their kicking game is going to have to be something that Neil Jenkins is going to need to do a lot of work with in terms of who we look at playing there. But it does give us a different dimension, and we've looked at players that have played, had some time in the past, that have come through at age group level, have played in that position as well. So it's not as if we're throwing someone that's never experienced playing in the 10 jersey. And like I said, we're looking at potentially someone in that position giving us a slightly different dimension to who we might be playing against. If someone's really coming hard down that 10 channel and you're playing against a big physical side, then you may need to match that with that physicality of your own. So yeah, those are the conversations we're having about that 10 position.
What's impressed you about Keelan Giles and Ellis Bowden?
Ellis is a little bit different in terms of he gives you that left foot kicking option. We've watched him. He gets to the ball well. He's got some physicality about him. And for Keelan, he's been consistent in terms of that with the Ospreys. He's experienced now. It was unfortunate that Theo got injured on the weekend because he was potentially an option for us on the wing. And that hamstring injury sort of ruled him out of contention and potentially being selected. So, and for us, the big thing was that in the preparation we wanted to make sure that we had all those positions covered in the depth, and that when we're running two back lines together, that we've got back threes that we can work hard against and challenge in terms of defensively, rather than mixing and matching them and putting a midfielder or a 9 in that back three position. So that's probably why with the makeup of the squad we've done that, is not just from a playing perspective but also from a training perspective.
Just finally from you, did you consider Thomas Francis? Is he finished with Wales now, or could he?
No, he hasn't finished. He's we didn't consider him at this stage. Look, he's made that decision to go to France, and we will stay in contact with him in terms of he definitely hasn't retired, but it's when he makes that decision potentially to come back. And for us, if you look at the tight heads that we've picked, it is a concern for us. It's a real concern in terms of experience, but also players starting regularly in that position, and so that's why we picked the number of those players to see how they perform in those few weeks of training, and also leading up to that South Africa game in terms of the final makeup of those tight head positions.
Rob?
Another young squad, Warren, with
Yep.
4 games. What shape do you think you'll be in when you come back, and what are you really hoping?
Yeah, good. Look, I was trying to get as many games as I possibly could. At one stage, we were potentially looking to play Samoa as well, and I would have jumped into that opportunity because this group of young players, they need as many games as they possibly can get, and to get that experience, it's a lot of work for the coaching staff, and we understand and realise the challenge that we've got, but that's our job, to improve them, to make them better, to work them hard, and for a group of young players to continue to understand the pressures and how tough it is to play at international rugby, and what it takes to do that. So we're conscious that there are a few holes in Wales at the moment in terms of depth in certain positions, and we've got to try and to increase that depth and that competition.
So us mere mortals would look at this group of players going up to play against the world champions and be a little bit worried, but you see it as a challenge, and you obviously get excited by it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, really excited by it. Really excited by what we can do in terms of creating some confidence, some self-belief in this group of players from the work that they put in, sort of leading into that. Look, South Africa are going to be missing a few players as well, and we know that. But whatever South African team has put out there, we know that they're not going to be small. They're going to be big and physical, and those are the challenges that you want. And we want to get back to, we know the respect that we had earned over a number of years playing against South Africa in terms of the performance and results that we had against them, and that's for us as a challenge. How do we get back to that? You quickly lose that respect. You quickly can fall away, and for us, there's a lot of hard work to put into preparing for that game, and hopefully giving a good account of ourselves on the tour.
How much of what you have to do is mental as opposed to physical, and given more and more games and more time on the pitch in difficult circumstances?
Yeah, a big part of that's the mental thing. It's players coming in, not a huge amount of players come in with a huge amount of confidence in terms of results that they've had over the season, particularly against in big games. So how what do we do, and how can we build that confidence and self-belief within the group, and that's a big challenge for us. And I can remember having that conversation in the past with a number of the Dragons players that had come into Wales when we were and had been successful, and the one comment that stuck with me was, when they came into a Wales environment from the Dragons, their first thing was that we believe we can win, and we need to get back, and we need to create that self-belief and confidence in the squad, that when we go out, that we put the work in, we put the hard work in, and we're capable of winning, because you can't shy away from it. And international rugby is about performance, it's about getting results, and that's the nature of the beast. When
do you think we might get a win?
Hopefully against South Africa. That's the first thing. We need to get some of those W's on the board, and that definitely creates that confidence and self-belief, and that feel-good factor that you're looking for, and players rocking up the following week with a spring in their step, and sort of shoulder, chest puffed out a little bit, and that's what we need to create as a group, and we need to understand that we need to work hard. There's some young players in here that we're going to give some time, and there's probably a few players that we've selected in the squad that need to kick up the arse as well, in terms of some of their performances, and some of their testing results aren't good enough than what we expect from a national perspective. So we are where we are at the moment, and but like I said, I do see light at the end of the tunnel, and we've just got to make sure that we get back to the expectations and working incredibly hard to improve those performances and results.
Karen?
One to about mental and physical. Ryan Elias, Josh Adams and Will Rowlands having a break or not
Yeah.
going. How much of that is physical or mental? And also, it's been a long season, 12 months. Did they come to you, or did you have those conversations with them about them having a break and coming back next year?
A bit of both, a little bit of both, yeah. So Ryan felt that he needed a break and stuff, just to recharge himself. Will, a little bit the same. It was a bit tough on him because he'd come back from injury, and then he had the birth of his daughter sort of over that Six Nations period, and at one stage he wasn't going to be travelling backwards and forwards between games, but then Racing, required him to go back, and that made it difficult. So he's had a long season. He's the conversation with him. He's desperately proud to play for Wales and desperately wants to be part of the team going towards the next World Cup. The conversation with the players was about them. I said, you've got to make what you feel is the best decision for you, not what's the best decision for Wales or what's the best decision for your club. What's the best decision for you personally in terms of whether you're available or not. I had the same conversation with Nick Tompkins in terms of, he'd come straight from the World Cup. I thought he was excellent during the World Cup. He'd gone straight into Saracens. He hadn't had much of a break. Said to him, I didn't think his form in the Six Nations was anywhere near as good as it was during the World Cup. He understood that and recognised that and gave him the option of having a break and refreshing, having a good pre-season. And he made a different decision. He came back and said, look, he's desperate to want to go on tour and be part of and continue to play for Wales. So, each player is a little bit different. Josh's one was really, he's got a few niggles. He hasn't been 100% fit, and it was about getting himself right, having a good break. And I said, look, we can take you to Australia. We know we can manage you during the week. Even if you're at 85%, you probably do a job for us with your experience and the way that you can play. But the best thing for him was to get his body right, to hopefully get him back to. I said, like in the Six Nations again, you're probably at about 85% of where you could have possibly been in the past. There's one or two opportunities that I would have expected him to score, chances that he had with the ball. He's aware of that and understands that, and so by him having a break and getting himself right, hopefully we can see him come back fully charged, ready to go at the start of the season, then be available for the autumn campaign.
Graham?
Warren, for supporters who perhaps started to feel a little disconnected maybe from this team in recent times, what should their yardstick be for success on this tour, do you think? Should it be, as you said, results? Should it be performances or a kick up the arse, as you say, for certain individual players? What should be the measure for supporters?
Well, I'm not going to be talking to the supporters about who's getting a kick up the arse, that's for sure. Look, we haven't sort of talked about, I think, where we are as a team at the moment. The public want to see improvement. They want to see a group of players going out there and putting that jersey on and wearing it with pride and giving 100%. And I can't question how hard the players tried during the Six Nations. There's no doubt that the effort was there. We just weren't accurate enough, and that was probably down to some, a lack of experience within the group, and we've got to build on that. But I'm well aware that there are always expectations, particularly at international level, and particularly in Wales, and that comes with the territory. So look, we'll be going out there and working as hard as we possibly can to give performances and hopefully get results.
Okay, we'll do one final one then with Ben.
Is there any particular reason for Alex Mann? Is that similar to Will?
He's been carrying niggles and stuff and hasn't been playing, and I think there's a good chance for him to have a good pre-season, to look at getting in the gym, putting on a little bit of size. Probably someone like Tame Plumtree having that break and stuff. He's come back and definitely put some size on, and I think with Alex, we know what a quality player is. He's definitely got a big future ahead of him, but it was tough for him. He's not the biggest man in the world, and he was just giving everything that he could give. But he was battered in terms of how much effort and performance he puts in. He's got some skills that other players don't have, and when you watch him at training and watch him when you're reviewing games, he's got the ability to scan really well. He's looking at threats from a defensive perspective. He's also looking at options from an attacking perspective. He communicates exceptionally well, and those are things from a coaching thing that you look at with players in terms of can they go to the next level? Do they have the ability to play? And there's not always a lot of players that can do that. There are players that we need to keep working on within this group, looking at their scanning, looking at their communication at this level, and it's a big work on for us. But I think the best thing for him at the moment is to have that break, have a good pre-season, get his body right, and look to get some good work done in the gym.
Okay, thank you everyone.